Hello there, my fellow aviation enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Fly with Trent channel. I'm Trent, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that is near and dear to my heart and absolutely critical for anyone who loves to take to the skies, and that's the importance of checklists for flight planning and weather briefing. You see, when it comes to going up in the sky in your airplane, there's really not a whole lot of room for error, and safety is paramount, and having a well-structured checklist can make all the difference between having a safe and enjoyable flight and not coming home to your family at the end of the day. And I don't want you to take my word for it. Let's have a look very quickly at some kind of eye-popping safety statistics from the NTSB. Did you know that according to the NTSB, a significant number of accidents are caused by human error, and especially so in general aviation? And yes, that does include pilots failing to adequately plan their flights and or misjudging weather conditions entirely. In fact, weather incidents alone accounted for a substantial portion of aviation mishaps. The NTSB reports reveal that a staggering 30% of all general aviation accidents involve some form of weather-related factors. This includes situations where pilots attempted to fly in adverse weather conditions without properly planning, or they simply failed to adequately assess the weather, and so that's not something that you want to do. These statistics are daunting, but here's the good news. Having a well-structured checklist to make sure that you don't forget to do anything can dramatically reduce your chances of becoming a statistic. So in today's video, we are going to break down the components of a comprehensive flight planning and weather briefing checklist that I created and I'm going to make available to you. So whether you're a seasoned pilot or you're just starting out your aviation journey, I hope there will be valuable insights here for you to share. And if you think that there is, I would love it if you would share this video with other people. If you're not yet a subscriber, maybe become one. And by all means, click that little thumbs up button and leave your comments on what I share in this video down below, along with your questions, because I am eager to receive feedback on the checklist that I'm about to share with you. All right, guys, so here is the checklist. Let's start off by just giving you a quick high-level overview. Over here on the left, we have a column. This column currently consists of 34 different tasks, each rather broken up into for-flight planning, for-flight flights tab, for-flight weather briefing section, for-flight map layers, and for-flight imagery tab. Then for each task that is highlighted, the canvas over here on the right provides the instructions. So step one, where are you starting and where are you ending up? So select route and altitude. Obviously that's pretty easy to do. Here I've got some screenshots from ForeFlight on what you need to do. So here's how you would type in if you're going to take off from Oakland and you're going to come back to Nampa. You're going to fly at 9,000 feet. When it comes to selecting routes, you can see here to click on routes, and then there's the route advisor and instructions on how to choose a route, and then select the route and add it to your flight. So when you're done that, you could mark that as complete. Then the next thing is we want to ensure obstacle clearance. Now, ForeFlight's pretty darn cool for this. They have this layer on the map called the Hazard Advisor. And so basically what you're looking for is you want to make sure that your chosen path is not going to smash into any red stuff. Because essentially red stuff is taller than your chosen altitude, and that's not going to work out very well for you. And then another way that you can do that is from the flight plans. By clicking on the flight plan button and looking at the profile view, you can also see here all of the terrain that you need to be clear of. In this case, for this particular flight I did back from Oakland, with the route that I chose, which was different than the route I took on the way down there, because on the way down I flew at 12,000 feet. On the way back there was ice. I didn't want to go up into the icing. I wanted to fly lower. So I said, hey, I chose the altitude selector of 7,000, and then I picked a route accordingly. And then I confirmed, of course, that that route was going to keep me clear of any terrain. When you're filing a flight plan, I do recommend that you choose an approach. And so ForeFlight here makes that very easy to do. You can choose what approach you want to do, what waypoints, the approach plate's going to show up. And when you're happy with what you've got, click on Add to Route. Then you're going to, if you're planning the night before, if you want to do the weather briefing and see the weather for the intended time of departure, Of course, you're going to want to make sure that you choose whatever the intended time of departure is. And then when you're happy with the plan, you are going to click on this little button over here to access flights, and then you're going to send it to flights. So once you get into flights, one of the smart things that you should be doing is choosing an alternate. And so finger tap right in that blank white space to be able to choose an alternate. ForeFlight will then recommend some alternates for you. You can choose with a finger tap which one you want and add it to your flight plan. The next thing you're going to do is review your takeoff and landing distance, or rather set the safety factor so you can touch takeoff, you can touch landing. When you do that, the FAA recommends a 1.67 here. By default, it is at 1. And then when you put 1.67, you'll get your total distance, which you'll also be able to see right up in here. And you want to make sure, obviously, that that total distance is less than the runway you have available to you. Then fuel policy. So you can set some defaults in ForeFlight. So you're going to choose maximum fuel policy. You can by default set your taxi fuel here. And then you can also choose select your reserve policy on this particular screen, whatever one is one that is going to satisfy your requirements. Then there's a tab for weight and balance. Same thing there. ForeFlight makes weight and balance really fast and easy to do. You're just going to tap on the weight and balance screen. You're going to make sure that you have your correct aircraft profile set up, and then you're going to enter your weights. There's going to be more than pilot and passenger. As you scroll down on this in ForeFlight, you're going to see rear passengers and baggage. And if your plane has oxygen on board or TKS fluid or what have you, those are all going to be things that you would need to fill out the correct weights for. And then you're going to go ahead and hit the pack button so that all of the information is loaded onto your iPad in case you didn't have connectivity. And that's a process that you can see here. Fuel prices, airport NOTAMs, weather, airmets, SIGMETs, NOTAMs, TFRs, etc. is all being downloaded right onto the iPad. And then when you're happy with that, the last thing to do, of course, is file your flight plan. And so that's pretty easy to do in ForeFlight. Proceed to file. So now now that we've got the flight planned, the let's not die portion of the checklist comes into play. And I found a really great video, which I've embedded here in the workflow from ForeFlight. It was a weather planning webinar that they did at Oshkosh. So you can watch that if you would like. And what I've basically done is broken it down into basically a bunch of notes, a bunch of sections for you guys. So it talks about going through the standard briefing. Be sure to reach out to review each section of the standard briefing. So that's your TFRs, your NOTAMs, your convective SIGMETs, your SIGMETs, and your airmats. And then what I've also done is I've clipped sections of ForeFlight's user manual that talk about anything that is in these sections. So if there's a symbol or something that you aren't familiar with, rather than maybe skimming past it, you can just scroll down a little further. You can click on these images to make them full sizes if you would like. And all of the instructions here pertain to what's on the screen there. So you can do the same thing. So that's weather briefing. Got the same thing here for adverse conditions, TFRs, unsafe NOTAMs, convective SIGMETs, and regular SIGMETs. And again, more sets of instructions from the user guide. So I've done all of that in these sections here. So by the time you get to NOTAMs at the end of your weather briefing, you will have reviewed the entire sort of ForeFlight weather briefing wizard. But what if you get to the end and you still have some questions and there's some more stuff that you want to have a look at? That's where the ForeFlight map layers can really be beneficial. So as you can see here, there's quite a number of different map layers. And if you're connected to an ADS-B while you're doing your trip, obviously you can be looking at the data in real time for these particular map layers. So you've got the radar layer. This is going to help you to see precipitation. And here again, we've got all sorts of information that's clipped right from the ForeFlight user guide so that you know what all the symbology is and what all the colors are, so that you don't ever have to worry about, maybe overlooking something or making a mistake. If you're looking for cloud bottoms and tops, you can get that from the clouds layer. And then we've got an icing layer. Obviously in wintertime, this is one of my favorites. So I use this quite a bit. You've got your altitude selector over here. So for whatever level of flight you're going to do, you would select that here. Obviously you can see my route at 13,000. We're well into the ice. And you can see by color coding how severe the ice is. So a lot of it is moderate, some of it is light, and then a few sections here are severe. So pretty important to make sure that you've got the altitude matching the altitude of your selected flight plan. And then again, here's some more clipped information from the ForeFlight user guide. So we've got that, and I made a mistake here. It's cloud tops via ADS-B that's going to give you your tops. And so this is pretty darn cool as well, because it's always very helpful to know where your tops are. So we've got all of those things for the airmits and sigmets, the NOTAMs, the temporary flight restrictions, the surface analysis, the hazard advisor, which we talked about a little earlier on, and then the colored infrared satellite layer here. And then finally, we have the ForeFlight imagery tab. So if you want to look at prog charts, ForeFlight has a bunch of prog charts in there that will help you to get an idea what's coming your way in the very near future. You've got CONUS cloud charts, this is another way to see tops. So you can see here, this is broken at 4,500 with tops at flight level 270. Over here, we've got broken at 3,500 with tops at, looks like 8,000 feet and so forth. So that's a great way of figuring out, like, how high am I going to have to go to break through the cloud tops? Is there icing that's going to be in those clouds? How long do I think I'm going to be in those clouds given my rate of climb? How much TKS fluid, if that's what you're using to battle ice, am I going to use up? How much do I have on board, etc.? And then finally, come the summertime, when icing's not an issue, obviously we're much more concerned with convective outlook. So we've got a number of charts here for the convective outlook as well. All right, so that's a quick tour of the checklist. I am eager to know what you thought, and if you'd like to get your hands on a copy of the checklist that you can fully customize for your own needs, go ahead. Right below this video, there will be some information on how you can get your hands on it. Thank you very much for watching. Again, if you found this video helpful and you think other pilots should see it, please help me to get the YouTube algorithm to show it to other people by clicking the like button and also leaving a comment or a question or whatever it is, because that tells the algorithm, hey, this is a good video, I should show it to other people. And for that, you have my gratitude. Thank you so much. We'll see you in another video soon. Take care. Bye-bye.